All right, and here is the finished troll from Dragon Strike, and you can see how it turned out, and I really like it. I think it turned out really well. I'm using a white background so you can really see the colors. And I wanted to show y'all a few details on this miniature that I think work really well and I'm kind of proud of. So we're going to zoom in a little bit, and the first thing I want to show you is the eyes. I mean, these are like, I think they turned out really well. You know, you can see how they kind of were put together. So I used some light gray on the outside, and then I used a dab of dark gray to make the pupil. And then you can see on both eyes, super zoom in, you can see just a dab of white paint at the corners there, trying to get approximately the same kind of corner on both eyes to create the reflection effect. And it just came out really well. You know, eyes are complicated. They're really hard to do. They require a lot of careful, fine, detail brushwork. And, you know, a lot of times they don't come out great. You know, these eyes were kind of large. You know, it's kind of like a bug eye kind of troll. So that made it easier on this miniature, but just a little bit of time and effort spent really bring the miniature to life. You know, you can almost think about or imagine this miniature kind of just walking, and then you kind of surprise him and he's looking at you, and you're looking right into his eyes. The other thing that's important, of course, on any miniature is focusing on the face. That brings a lot of detail, a lot of opportunity for color and interest right away. So you can see that we used, you know, the dominant color on the miniature is blue, and this blue troll I think is really interesting, kind of different, maybe a little bit unique, and I was really happy with the way it turned out. But, you know, use some lighter colors to highlight some of the details. For example, you can see around his eyes, the brow, the nose is that lighter color blue, and then around his lips. The mouth is another area that I think came out really well. So you can see that the teeth kind of on top, and then you can see the black for the back of the mouth, and then a little bit of Bugman's glow to create a tongue effect. And all of a sudden, this miniature that has a lot of personality but not a lot of detail really just comes to life. The other thing that I think that worked very well is the combination of blue and white. You know, so it creates these amazing gradations in the skin that give it a, or the scales or the armor, that give it a really interesting, unique, and kind of realistic effect. And then the other thing I would encourage y'all to do that worked well, I think, on this miniature is, you know, the raised highlights. You know, use those so you can see kind of the scales or the little spikes on his back, and then all these little bumps I kind of just carefully picked out with like a bone white color, and then used kind of the lighter concept around it. So I think this came out really nice. I'm really happy with it. The base, you know, it's going to be old school, so the base is not a goblin green, but a darker kind of forest green color. Anyway, I hope you'll like this quick look at the troll miniature from Dragon Strike. Maybe in a different color scheme and with some different techniques that y'all can try on some of your other miniatures. Anyway, take care. Hope you're doing well. God bless. Bye.